Sony a6400, not what we expected. So months, weeks, day prior to this launch event, there are a lot of rumors that led us to believe that there will be a high-end APS-C camera coming out, a a6700 or a7000 of some sort, an APS-C sensor in a full-frame body that's going to perform like an A9, nicknamed the Mini A9. Of course, we didn't get that. We got the Sony a6400, which isn't bad at all. It actually exceeded a lot of my expectations. However, I do share a lot of the concerns that the internet is having right now about this camera, mainly the lack of in-body image stabilization and this style of flip-up selfie screen. But I also do want to throw it out there that Sony does consider this an entry-level APS-C camera. That is why it's lacking certain features that we were kind of hoping it would have. So with that said, let's go ahead and break down the specs and talk about why this camera the way that it is. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the body first. Now, if you use the a6000 or a60 or a6500, the a6400 is going to feel very, very similar. Now, the latest thing that they implemented in the 6000 series is, of course, this selfie flip-up screen here. Now, this isn't something that is new. Sony has actually done this before with the Sony a5100. And I like to joke that this is Sony's secret vlogging camera because what made it really appealing was that this has the flip-up screen, but also is an interchangeable lens camera, meaning you can use any lens that you want with it. However, the major Achilles heel of this camera, of course, is the lack of a mic jack. So if someone wanted to get better audio, they wanted to plug in a external shotgun mic, they wouldn't be able to do it with this camera without having some sort of different recorder and stick it in post later. However, with the 6400, we do have a mic jack on the side right here. However, this is the start of the first issue that we have with the Sony a6400. When you do mount the mic on top of the camera, on top of the hot shoe, this blocks the selfie flip-up screen. So it seems very counterintuitive to try to vlog anyways because you wouldn't really be able to see yourself with the mic blocking the screen. However, I do have a minor solution to this. Now, I've said this before in a lot of my videos in the past, Sony, just give us a mic jack for these types of cameras. We'll find a way, we vloggers will find a way to rig up a mic somehow. Because when we plug it in directly to the mic jack, it saves us a lot of time from having to sync audio later, and we get the audio quality that we want and the audio quality that our audience deserve to hear. So this is my solution right here. I have a small bracket on the bottom that supports both the camera and the mic. And as you can see here, I can still get high quality audio from the shotgun microphone, and I can still see myself whenever I vlog. Now, this bracket is about $8 to $10. It's from a company called Ulanzi off of Amazon. I'll have a link in the description box below for you to purchase one of your own. Okay, so that's a potential solution to one of the concern. The other concern is the lack of in-body image stabilization. Now, we were talking about how this camera is marketed towards the vlogger demographic. Whenever we think of vloggers, we obviously think of people like Casey Neistat or Peter McKinnon. They're running around with their cameras on a Joby Gorilla Pod, and they're walking and talking. And obviously, when you're doing so much motion, when you're walking around, you need some sort of in-camera stabilization to kind of smoothen things out a little bit, or else it's gonna look really, really jarring. And let me tell you, not having in-body image stabilization in this camera really hurts me as well. The big reason why I love the a6500 so much is the fact that it has in-body image stabilization. That's what got me to switch from my a6300 to the a6500 in a heartbeat. As a video shooter primarily, I rely heavily on IBIS whenever I am shooting videos. So it is a huge bummer that this little guy here does not. However, vloggers tend to use ultra wide angle lenses whenever they're vlogging. It just fits more into frame. For full frame users, they'll use something like a 16 to 35. For APS-C, we got the 10 to 18 right here. Now with this Sony 10 to 18, we have optical steady shot built into the lens. So that helps compensate the lack of in-body image stabilization. So if you're using the 10 to 18, it's not gonna affect you too much. However, for my Sigma users out there, some of you guys tend to vlog with the 16mm f1.4 from Sigma. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous lens. Unfortunately, it does not have any sort of optical steady shot built into this lens. So if you combine it with the a6400, you're gonna get some pretty shaky footage. But yeah, if you're planning on vlogging with the Sony a6400, the preferred lens of choice is this 10 to 18 right here, or even the Zeiss 16 to 70 f4. Both of these lenses here are equipped with optical steady shot. Now, I'm not saying to avoid prime lenses though. If you're shooting photos, prime lenses are gonna be great. If you have the camera locked off on a tripod to shoot videos, it's gonna be great. If you have it on a gimbal, these prime lenses on the A6400 is gonna be great. And we're gonna talk about some of the crazy autofocus feature on this camera. Now, you might be still wondering, how come they didn't put in-body image stabilization in the A6400? To be honest with you, I don't know. What I do know is that that's the reason why it's keeping the price point of this camera so low, $900. Now, back when the A6500 first came out, it cost $400 to $500 more than the A6300 just because of the in-body image stabilization alone. So let me ask you this, would you shell out an additional $400 to $500 to have in-body image stabilization in the A6400? I personally myself would pay that extra $500 for the IBIS feature, but I think that would be an upgrade of the A6500. That would probably be the A66 or A6700. But yeah, when you consider the price point and the features that this camera has to offer, $900 isn't too bad, and we haven't even talked about the features yet. Mainly the updated autofocus system. Now, during the press event, Sony is announcing that they're pushing these major updates to their higher end cameras, the Sony A9, A7R3, A7 III, and a lot of those new autofocus features are trickled down to the Sony A6400. For one, we now have real-time eye autofocus tracking. Now, prior to this, if you lift your camera up and point at a subject's face, only the face tracking box would pop up and follow them around. But with the A6400 and the new updates that are gonna come to the higher end cameras, there's gonna be a tiny little box that will hover their eyes as well. And the crazy thing is you can now select which eye the camera should focus on, either the left eye or the right eye. On top of that, the real-time eye autofocus tracking will work on animals as well. So if you have a dog or a cat or even a mouse, ideally the eye autofocus will grab sharp focus of your pets. You gotta admit, that's pretty cool. And the third autofocus update that I'm personally most excited about is the real-time tracking, especially for videos. So the real-time tracking is an updated version of the center lock-on focus, in which we just have to tap on the screen of our subject that we want the camera to stay focused on. Now, before, when I'm doing video tracking, you obviously have the option of doing center lock-on autofocus, but now you can do real-time tracking with a pinpoint box. So you can have it on your subject's face or even their eye, and the camera should be able to track that without too much of an issue. I still have to test that out personally, but when we were at the press event, the first couple of hours when we were shooting, I was going around this tree branch doing a parallax, and I had the real-time tracking on our model. As I was going by it, the camera stuck focus on the model instead of trying to pull focus to the foreground. Now, before that, when I was shooting with the other cameras, including the A7 III, it was a little bit wonky. It would pull focus to the foreground and then to my subject after I passed the foreground. But this one allows me to have the focus on my model, so as I'm going through that parallax behind the branch, it will still stay focused on them instead of focusing to the branch. I honestly wasn't expecting them to put all of those new autofocusing features in the A6400. I thought they would have kept that exclusive for their full frame line. But the fact that they put all of that in the A6400, it's gonna make photography and videography fun for a lot of people. Now, I know a lot of my A6500 users will be asking me, will this brand new autofocus firmware update be available for the A6500? Unfortunately not, just because the A6400 does use the latest processor, which the A6500 does not have. Oh, and another big thing that I wasn't expecting was the built-in intervalometer feature in the A6400. Oh, by the way, newsflash, if you have the A9, A7R3, or the A7 III, that built-in intervalometer feature will get pushed out in the next firmware update. But yeah, if you want to do high quality time lapse, that's where it is at. Now, back then, people had the Play Memories time-lapse app in their older Sony cameras. Unfortunately, Sony phased that out, and it left a lot of people bummed about that. But no longer do you have to install this slow, clunky app onto your Sony camera. They actually have it already readily accessible within the menu system, and it actually works really well. So here are some of the things that I was not surprised about. Now this camera is of course capable of 4K up to 30 frames per second and 1080p up to 120 frames per second for your slow motion needs. Now a lot of people were DMing me disappointed that they don't have 4K 60 in this camera. Honestly, I wasn't expecting them to do that just because it wouldn't make any sense for this entry-level camera to usurp their full-frame line. If those full-frame cameras don't have 4K 60, it wouldn't make sense for this camera to have it. I mean, maybe they'll do it in the next higher-end APS-C camera if that is coming out, but for an entry-level camera like this, I don't think they would. Now, I don't think a lot of people are talking about this, but since there are a few percentage of you guys out there asking me about it, no, this does not have dual SD card slot, it's just one. Again, it really doesn't make sense for them to do dual card slot in this type of camera. Again, consider your price point and the features that this camera has to offer. It doesn't make sense for this type of camera to have dual SD card slots. And lastly, a lot of people were asking me what type of battery this camera uses. It uses the NP-FW50 batteries, these tiny mahjong looking type of batteries right here. Now some people were wondering how come they didn't use the new Z batteries in this type of camera. Well, the reason for that, they want to keep the form factor of this camera small. That's the whole point of the A6000 series camera, lightweight, small, and compact. So it wouldn't make sense for them to use the Z batteries and make the camera body bigger. They want to go for that smaller camera size, and they really achieved that. Now, in terms of any sort of battery improvement over the 6500, I'm not too sure. I'll test that out and let you guys know. But one thing that I can confirm now that I'm super happy about is that there is no more screen dimming when you're shooting in 4K. No screen dimming when you're shooting in 4K with this small camera body. That is awesome. Okay, so I'll be doing comparison videos with the A6400, comparing it to the A6500 and the A5100. Let me know in the comments down below what sort of tests or comparisons that you personally want to see, and I'll make sure that I'll try to get it to you guys in the next video. Oh, and we gotta pick the winner of the t-shirt in this video. So yes, we're doing another t-shirt giveaway in this video. All you have to do is just be a subscriber of the channel and leave a comment down below, something pertaining to the A6400. Were you disappointed? Were you sad? Or is this camera right for you? Let me know in the comments down below. And the winner of the last video's t-shirt giveaway is David Lopez. David sent us an email via the email found in my about page of my YouTube channel. We'll get that t-shirt sent out to you. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.